Welcome, you're watching Vox News, your daily evening news with Rita Kamkumo. Our headlines today: Burundi's cabinet holds an emergency meeting to discuss a way forward after the sudden death of President Pierre Nkurunziza. South African justice declares the Electoral Act unconstitutional and allows independent candidates to stand for election in a landmark ruling. Former Ivorian Prime Minister Pascal Affi-N'Guessan says he's in the running for the October presidential election. Our top story today: Burundi's cabinet held an extraordinary meeting on Thursday to discuss the way forward following President Pierre Nkurunziza's sudden death on Monday. The meeting, chaired by the first vice president, Gaston Sindimwo, decided to refer the matter to the Constitutional Court so that it may declare the presidency vacant and rule on the issue. Under the Burundian constitution, the President of the National Assembly, Pascal Nyambenda, should take over on an interim basis before President-elect Evariste Ndayishimiye's inauguration on the 20th of August. However, some ruling party officials argue that the President-elect should be sworn in as soon as possible. In South Africa, a politician no longer needs to be part of a political party to be elected into office. In a landmark ruling, the Constitutional Court ruled on Thursday that the Electoral Act was unconstitutional and gave independent candidates the green light to stand for national and provincial elections. This unprecedented decision in a case brought by non-governmental organization the New Nation Movement will enable voters to elect their lawmakers for the first time directly, as MPs are currently elected indirectly according to a system of proportional representation. Judge Mbuyiseli Madlanga estimated that a conscious choice not to form or join a political party was as much a political choice as a choice to create or join a party, and that the freedom not to associate at all was a fundamental right. The Constitutional Court gave Parliament 24 months to amend the electoral legislation. In Ivory Coast, the 2020 presidential election is taking a new turn, with an unexpected candidacy coming from the former ruling party. Pascal Affi-N'Guessan, former prime minister and actual president of the Ivorian Popular Front, fronted by former President Laurent Gbagbo, said on Tuesday that he is in the running for the October election. His decision highlights the internal crisis and divide his party has been dealing with since 2014, with one loyalist faction called Gore for Gbagbo or Nothing and his renewal wing.
Whether it is united or within the current framework, I will be a candidate and the supporters will decide. With the Gbagbo or Nothing people or without them, the FPI will be present at the elections with a candidate, and I hope to be that candidate. In any case, if I am to be a candidate, I will be the candidate of the FPI, unless there is another candidate who is chosen by the supporters of the FPI which we represent.
About 2 weeks ago, the International Criminal Court authorized Laurent Gbagbo to leave Belgium under certain conditions following his acquittal last year on charges of crime against humanity for post-electoral violence that claimed 3,000 lives. His return could shake up the upcoming presidential election.
He is bound to come back. He can't stay out of the Ivory Coast forever, especially since he is acquitted, and in any case he will be declared free to return. And I believe that this is the case at the moment, even if he is still under judicial supervision. But it is a question of time. It is to be expected that at some point he will return to the Ivory Coast, and we need to prepare for that moment. If he wants to be the president of the party, I am prepared to hand it over to him and take on the role of vice president. If he is in Ivory Coast and is eligible, I am ready to accompany him in the election, but if he is not eligible, he too must commit to supporting my candidacy. These are the terms we are discussing at the moment.
Laurent Gbagbo's acquittal has sparked speculation of a return to Ivory Coast, raising hopes among his supporters, but also tensions in the run-up to the presidential vote. In Ivory Coast, as the presidential and legislative elections approach, the Electoral Commission launched a national call on Wednesday in Abidjan, hoping to enlist new voters for the October elections.
I invite all those who have recently become of age to come and enlist. This is very important. These people, when they have reached legal age at 18 years old, the law allows them to participate in electing the nation's governors. This is their opportunity to get their name on the electoral register so that they can choose the candidate they want on election day.
The authorities estimate that 5 million eligible Ivorian citizens are not on the register, which currently counts 6.6 million voters.
As an Ivorian, it is normal that I should vote for my candidate. If you think you've got your candidate, go vote. We're just asking you to go and vote. It doesn't cost anything and it doesn't take time. All you have to do is get up early, show up, get in line and vote.
Voter registration will close on the 24th of June. In Mali, embattled President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta is not willing to let his prime minister go. The president appointed on Thursday his resigning prime minister, Boubou Cissé, and instructed him to form the next government in the middle of a severe socio-political crisis. Cissé, in office since 2019, had resigned from his duties following the installation of a new parliament as a result of the disputed legislative elections of March and April, which the president won despite fraud accusations. The Prime Minister's appointment comes as tens of thousands of people, led by an unprecedented alliance, took to the streets of Bamako last week, demanding the president's resignation. In Ethiopia, the government said on Thursday that it wants to limit the role of outside observers in the revived negotiations over its Nile River mega dam project. These statements come after the three countries involved, Sudan, Egypt and Ethiopia, resumed talks on Tuesday in presence of observers from the United States, the European Union and South Africa. The large-scale mega dam that Addis Ababa has been building on the Blue Nile River since 2011 has been a source of tensions between all three Nile countries. After 9 years of deadlock in negotiations, the United States and the World Bank have been sponsoring discussions since November 2019 to reach an agreement between the three countries that have recently agreed to resume talks and to hold regular meetings. In Niger, President Mahamadou Issoufou described on Thursday the infamous death of African-American George Floyd as the symbol of the old world that must be changed during a video conference with other members of the African Union. The president publicly condemned for the first time the murder of the 46-year-old man and called for his peers to do the same before pleading for a new global political and economic governance based on solidarity, equality and justice. Tunisian authorities reported on Thursday in an updated toll that 52 people, mostly from sub-Saharan Africa, died when a boat carrying migrants illegally set off for Italy last week, with 53 people on board, sank off Tunisia. This information comes after the authorities opened an investigation after Coast Guards recovered the bodies from waters in the Mediterranean city of Sfax earlier this week. At least 24 women were among the victims. One person is still missing. An investigation is underway to identify the organizers of the journey. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, prosecutors requested on Thursday a 20-year prison sentence for President Félix Tshisekedi's top aide, Vital Kamerhe, accused of embezzling over $50 million of public funds. The prosecution is also asking that Kamerhe, who has been detained since the 8th of April in a Kinshasa prison, is disqualified from holding public office for 10 years, and requested the seizure of his wife's assets as well as those of other family members. The ruling is scheduled to be handed down on the 20th of June. Finally, on the football scene, the 11th of June marked the 10th anniversary of the first FIFA World Cup, hosted on African soil. On this occasion, South African Football Association President Danny Jordan wistfully reflects on the FIFA World Cup that kicked off in Johannesburg 10 years ago.
As an African country, we insisted that this will be an African World Cup, but it will be world class, and there's no difference, no contradiction between being African and being world class. And Madiba decided that he must come to the stadium, and that was his first and last public appearance in the World Cup, and never again did he appear in public again in South Africa. He waved goodbye, and it was a celebration.
Dr. Jordan believes the 2010 World Cup was a game changer for Africa.
Also, it dealt with the negative perception of the African continent. that Africa is only a continent where you must give charity and handouts and donation. After 2010, Africa became a destination for tourism, for investment, for trade.
Despite its enormous success, the 2010 FIFA World Cup generated various controversies, including allegations that the country paid millions of dollars in bribes to host the 2010 World Cup.
This World Cup has accounted for every penny. All of the books are there, and anyone who wants to see the books must just look at the books. It is again the Afro-pessimism. Nothing in Africa must be successful. You must come and throw mud. We are not going to allow them to put their knee on our own necks.
Jordan believes the continent must be proud of the accomplishment of hosting the tournament in African soil and that its legacy remains strong. That's it for today. Thank you for watching Vox News.